right? The idea that capitalism creates innovation doesn't jive with reality. What capitalism does is it allows people with capital to buy innovation. That's what Elon Musk did with Tesla. The biggest predictor of being rich is being born rich.
We disagree on economics. I think, you think socialism could work, right? We probably disagree on that.
Yeah. So socialism is not like a canned thing. One of the things I've been getting to lately is the concept of scientific socialism, which comes out of Pan-African traditions. Mm-hmm. And the point of that is to say we're not just going to do exactly what, I don't know, Scandinavia is doing or the Ukraine was doing, and just say, yeah, we're going to do that socialism here, and that's going to work. It's more about assessing the needs and realities of the nation you're in and finding ways to construct people-driven programs and policies and industries. Socialism, fails greatly in the developing nations, partially because of outright intervention, by us and other nations, but also because of underdevelopment and the lack of control of the resources. So it's like if you just say, "Oh, I'm a socialist," we're just going to plug socialism in to the Xbox, and then like it's going to download a patch.
Well, I see it, but I see it differently though. I see people being fundamentally self-interested. So if socialism is failing in various nations, it's not because of us putting a thumb on the scale, us making it fail. It's because people are not motivated to succeed in a system where they're not going to benefit from the fruits of their own labor.
Well, that's not what socialism is at its core. The point of socialism is to actually benefit from the fruits of your own labor. Right. So like, it depends on what we're talking about. You know what I'm saying? Like, are we talking about like welfare state socialism that's in the UK? Like, I would barely call that socialism, you know what I'm saying? Because that still allows for massive disparities in wealth and income, which then lends itself to, the corruption of housing, there.
Here's the miscommunication. So I understand what you're saying. You're saying that socialism wants people to benefit from the fruits of their own labor as a worker, and I understand
as a collective.
Yeah. But as anyone who wants to build a business, like obviously you're building a business with your YouTube channel, you obviously know that you're going to have to put an exorbitant amount of work into doing this project, and it may or may not pan out. So when I'm talking about people wanting to benefit from the fruits of their own labor, if you're taking outsized risk, putting in outsized effort, you want to take outsized gains. Socialism takes that away because it takes your outsized gains and it gives it to your collective
employees.
Workers. Yeah, exactly.
Well,
so that's the problem. You don't necessarily have a business starting class, an entrepreneurial class in these socialist nations. And it gets worse too, because the political elites that are basically controlling everything, they're getting our financial aid, and they're basically using that money, that American money, to suppress any sort of political rivals that may come up. The political rivals in any situation are going to be the business class, because the business class tends to be the smarter people, the more innovative people, the more hardworking people. They're going to be the ones that are going to be political rivals to these people. And of course, they're going to use that money to suppress those people.
So one, I don't believe that there's anything innately more talented about the business class.
Mm-hmm. What do you mean? You're part of the business class. You don't think you're more talented?
I'm a product of luck. I was lucky enough to be born to my mom as opposed to my uncle, which meant instead of growing up in the south side of Chicago, I grew up in the south suburbs of Chicago. So my mom provided me with good schooling, mentors, a protective covering, which allowed me to go to decent school. Like, there's so many elements that build into what you see before you.
Aren't you writing your videos though? Aren't you like somewhat directing your videos? Aren't you saying?
Yeah, I'm doing that based on talent that was cultivated like through a series of fortunate events. Fortunate events.
Well, no, I don't deny that when, you know, luck plays a great
I am
role
working.
in it.
Yeah. So
but if you just threw up your hands and look, I have a bunch of friends that are just stoners. All they want to do is lie on the couch and surf. Okay. Like those, you have to have some sort of motivation to actually build something.
Yeah. So we're getting away from I think where you initially were, which is kind of talking about the idea that socialism was about that socialism can't work because people won't build things because there's no gain to be had. So first, I think that's not true on two fronts. Number one is you can run a business and even take a large chunk based on the amount of labor and effort you put into the business that is more than your employees. What you don't do is exploit your employees' labor through the mechanisms of capitalism. So like, let's say, for example, I am a landscaper, right? So I buy my equipment to landscape with. Because first, let's understand the vast majority of business owners in America have less than like 2 employees.
Yeah, small businesses. I agree.
Very small businesses. I'm a small business, but it's just me.
Yeah.
Right. So we're only talking about a fraction of business owners of the business class, as you say, that are actually affected by this argument. In those situations, those people can do workers' co-ops. Those people can make sure their workers are paid effectively if they put their people over the largest possible profit. Now, you may be right that some people, especially as we are wired by the system today, are like, no, I want to get as much as I possibly can for as little work as possible. That is possible. That is the case for a lot of people. In that case, which is not ideal, which is why some people go further than socialism, we should have public policies and a government or some type of governing body that fills in the gaps for those people and makes it so those who are very selfish can't get to freaking, I don't know, insert mythological corporate ridiculous people here that own 500 companies. I just did a video about him. He was a CEO of GE, and it was like a case study in capitalism going wrong. GE CEO. Jack Welch.
Yeah, but do you deny that running a business and starting a business is a lot of risk and a lot of high investment, a lot of work?
I don't deny that. No, it's definitely a lot of work.
Yeah. So if you are going to embark on this path to start some business, you've got some product that you believe in, and we live in a system where when you finally get to your first 20 employees, when you finally get to your first 50 employees, when you finally get to your first 100 employees, you're not getting the outsized gains. Like there's no Elon Musk potential in your future. You're basically just going to be on the same level of all your workers. What is the incentive to start that business? A lot of people, without the Elon Musk potential, they don't want to do it.
So let's get into the context of that. Number one, we're still talking about a small population of people. Most people just want a decent job and to take care of their family and surf and smoke weed a little bit, as you
yeah.
Earlier.
No, I get
right.
it.
So that's we're talking about a small amount of people who should not, based on that, control the political and economic reality of the entire nation based on their desires. That's number one. Hold on, let me finish. Secondly, nobody can be Elon Musk unless you were born Elon Musk. Like we know this as well. Like the biggest predictor of being rich is being born rich. You know what I'm saying? It's Elon Musk. Like that is a product of the capitalist system we're in now. Elon Musk, Gary Vee, and all these guys telling you how they can be rich. And a handful of these guys, some people doing the NFT Gary Vee thing will make themselves into millionaires. But most people that are rich are born with that money. There's one more thing I wanted to respond to. Oh, and the second thing is, no, fuck them. Like, if it's bad for society for you to get your like, we should not have a structure that allows your desire to be a baller with the business, etc. Oh no, that wasn't what you were saying. What you were saying is, what is their impetus to even start a business in the first place? Passion, curiosity, autonomy, like things that people did before we had capitalism. We still had people starting businesses and trying to make things. We had people that were curious. We had people that were inventors. Like famously Thomas Edison stole a bunch of shit from Nikola Tesla. You know what I'm saying? So like Nikola Teslas will still exist without Thomas Edison stealing all the shit from all these different people and making it into GE. You see what I'm saying?
Well, I feel like you lose. Sure, I agree with you. First off, that there are some people that can make it on passion alone, and Nikola Tesla is a perfect example of that. Died destitute, had no money to his name, was basically just a horrible business person, right?
Maybe had sex with pigeons. We don't know.
But there are also out of the 100% of potential, business starters out there, you limit your resource pool dramatically, because I would argue most people who start this stuff realize they're going to increase their wealth and status, and that's part of the equation. There is passion, but I don't know that passion is enough. I think you cut your resource pool down to maybe 20%. And I just like, do you Uber? Do you use Google? Are you working on do you have a smartphone? Like, these are products and services that would not exist if it wasn't for somebody thinking, I am going to get filthy rich doing this.
Yeah, I don't think if I understand like the iPhone and Steve Jobs story well, or even just Facebook, hell, me. Like, I don't think a lot of these innovations start out with, I want to get rich, so I'm going to do the thing. It's, this thing is interesting. I'm curious. I'm passionate. I'm whatever. And then it's like, oh, I did the thing, and wow, there's material gain that can come from this. And at that point, there's a multitude of possible outcomes, right? The idea that capitalism creates innovation doesn't jive with reality. What capitalism does is it allows people with capital to buy innovation. That's what Elon Musk did with Tesla. You know what I'm saying? He didn't invent any of that. He had the money and bought it from the people that actually had the idea. So
but he did have the idea for PayPal, which got him the money to. PayPal was his idea.
So no, he got the money because his father owns an emerald mine in South Africa.
This emerald mine stuff I don't know much about. And also, I mean, I've read a book on Elon Musk. Elon Musk did not get along very well with his dad, and his dad was very much like a standoffish type person. His
mom looks like a supervillain, so it's possibly there was some interesting stuff going on in that household. So
I don't know that Elon Musk has a good relationship with his father. Well, I don't know that he's actually speaking to his father at the moment. But all this aside, I only use Elon Musk as an example that when people, and a lot of businesses don't succeed, a lot of businesses fail. When people, think I'm gonna be a contractor, I'm going to build homes, I'm going to build a business building homes. I think, they're thinking, I'm going to make a lot of money doing this. And if you take away that potential to make a lot of money doing it, I think less people will do it. I guess we just fundamentally disagree.
We just fundamentally disagree. Yeah. I don't think people are naturally selfish to the point where, first off, again, we have to both agree for that element of your argument, we're talking about a fraction of people, right? We're talking about the business tycoon wannabes. Like, we're not talking about the majority of people.
Every single person I've ever met has had an idea to make $1 million. I have not met anyone who does not have some idea. Look,
We're not talking about ideas, we're talking about
that's
desires.
the point, though. They haven't materialized that idea.
Materializing is where
and that's
the rub.
thing, like, yeah, so like, I mean, I agree with what you're saying. I think we are talking about a fraction of people, but I think that fraction of people is what gets shit done.
Yes.
And that's the issue.
I don't think that gets shit done, because those fraction of people have to employ people. They have to bring their material goods via roads and other workers. They have to do all these things that require the whole of society to participate.
Yeah, but why doesn't everyone just open a business?
Because not everybody wants to open a business.
Because it's a lot of work.
Yeah, I don't think most people want to or have the wherewithal or energy or knowledge, myself included, on how to do all those things.
Yeah, but I don't understand what that lends itself to. If the question is, would we still get cool shit without capitalism and the idea that people would be rewarded?
The answer to that is no.
I think the answer to that is yes, because capitalism, unless you retroactively say that, I don't know, the original farming erupted across. My understanding of world history is that farming erupted around the world, like, independently of each other. Like, it wasn't just one group of farmers that went to all these different places around the world, however many thousands of years ago, and said, this is the best way to do farming.
I think actually, I'm trying to recall my Guns, Germs, and Steel. I think farming mostly all did come from one centralized location and then move outward.
They were is that the Indus Valley? Because I haven't done gun, germs, and steel in a while.
That's wherever I think there's some place in the Middle East where cereal crop came from, and then it kind of moved out from then, I think.
So I think you're wrong, but I could also be wrong. Either way, my point is that even when that happened, let's say it just came from that one spot, it didn't happen because a person said, I'm going to build civilization from this human innovation. It was like, hey, I noticed that if these seeds grow over here all the fucking time. So I wonder if I took some of these seeds with me to this other place. Like, it grew out of curiosity and passion and the desire to take care of people.
Look, I
have two questions. First of all, did you recently watch Thought Slime's video on shoplifting?
No, I haven't seen it.
Oh, okay, because he's kind of saying a lot of things that you're saying, so I was curious. But
no, well, that's because we're both leftists.
I know.
Like, but it's an anti-cynical thing. I need to run soon, so I don't want to cut you off.
Let me ask you one question just on the greed thing before we move on. Like, you agree there are some greedy bastards out there, right? We all agree on that. Out of the 100% of human beings walking the earth, what percentage of them are the greedy bastards, and what are these altruistic people who are just, willing to start a business and not care about?
I don't have a good.
Is it 50-50? I'm just asking your gut intuition on this.
It would be a complete ass pull. I'm going to say 1585. So 15% of the population are really fucking greedy.
Okay.
Interesting. Yeah. So I just want to say, before we move on, because there are some questions, some super chat questions I want to ask you before you go. I'll say regarding the farming thing. I think this came up when we were talking to I'm really important. I think we have to understand what money and food and these things represent and why people seek them. Like with the farming example, I don't think it was like someone's like, oh, this is like cool. I think it was more like, oh, this is an easier way to produce food in safety, for myself and my tribe, because we're talking about, way back then. And then that kind of, elevates itself to, oh, whoever, owns the land or whoever's the best farmer has the best status. And then maybe they become in charge of the land. And it's kind of like things, go outward from there. And obviously, by today's standards, money represents safety and status and all these things. And, maybe there'll be some day where we have the Star Trek future where, we have replicators and we have little to free energy. And so status is not based on money anymore. But I think basically the technology for those material conditions being met is going to have to come first before the socialist ideology can be implemented, essentially.
So I disagree. I think the socialist ideology is already there. I think I don't think the technology will do anything to actually reduce disparity and things along those lines. One second.
Well, it's that if, I think humans naturally compete with each other for status because that's kind of how we're like wired for reproduction. And so if there's like free energy or free replicators, then that removes the material aspect of status accumulation. And so status will have to be based on something else.
Right. Like sports or video games.
Or being a productive citizen, or inventing something cool, or creating great art, or whatever.
So I agree with that. I'm just saying, under capitalism, right? Because we're talking about, you said something. Oh, and I lost it. You said something I wanted to pounce on. It was that
all the greedy people, the 15% of greedy people.
It was coming out of that.
Well, let me ask some questions before you kind of go.
Yeah, I guess let's get to the super chats.
Right. Harrison,
we're still having a good time. I will be back.
Hi, you just listened to a clip from the Sitch and Adams show. If you like what you heard, you can listen to our live show right here on this channel on Sunday, starting at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. And if you want, you can super chat us. We read $20 and up super chats on the show, and then do a follow-up stream on the following Tuesday where we read the rest of the unread super chats and interact with fans of the show. Subscribe to this channel right here to listen to the live show or to listen to more of our awesome clips.